In this video, we will introduce you to collocates. So if we start by typing in freedom to our query box and then making sure we're on the collocates tab, it will generate a list of collocates for us. Collocates are words that co-occur with our query term in a given span. So collocates can be very useful for language research. Most of the legal interpretation research using corpus linguistics thus far has focused on concordance lines. But collocate searches are also useful in many ways, including providing a snapshot for a word's meaning and also as a way to get to the most relevant concordance lines. So first, let's look at some of the settings. So this left and right option up here in the top right just indicates how many words to the left and to the right of our query term we're looking. So the default setting is 4 words to the left and 4 words to the right, which is a pretty good place to start. But maybe we're only interested in freedom and then moving to the right, and then we want just the next word, so the one word to the right, and maybe we only want to see, let's say, verbs that follow freedom. So we can do that. Maybe we want to see verbs on either side of freedom, or just verbs to the left. Collocate searches allow us to do all of those things. So the options box is especially important when we're looking at collocates. So let's open that up here. So we can change the max number of hits. We can also change the minimum mutual information score and minimum frequency. It's not important to have a strong understanding of the underlying math behind a mutual information score, but it is important to know what it measures. Mutual information score is a measure of the relationship between two words. The higher the number, the greater the strength is of the relationship between the two words. Linguists at Lancaster University have identified a mutual information score of 3 as a benchmark. When words have a score of at least 3, a real relationship exists between the two words in the corpus. For that reason, the default setting will always be 3 in COFIA and the other corpuses in our interface. Sometimes it will be useful to turn the mutual information minimum score off. For instance, when you're dealing with an infrequent linguistic item and you want to make sure that the interface displays all of the possible collocates, not just the ones with a strong relationship. But for many searches, a minimum mutual information score helps us see only the important information. It sorts out all the fluff, all the stuff we don't really care about. So if we go to our current search and we turn this off, we make it just a mutual information score of 0 and then hit apply. And let's actually just go back to the default where we're looking at 4 to the left and 4 to the right. You'll see that the collocates we're now getting are just the collocates with the greatest frequency, which turn out to be all of the function words that happen to co-occur with basically all the words in English. So that's why it's important to keep this at 3 during searches like this, and then we'll see which words have a real relationship with our query term. Okay. So looking at all these numbers, you'll see that there's a lot of information here. So let's go through each one. So over here, this is showing us the total number of collocates that have at least a mutual information score of 3. Moving to the right, this is the frequency of the given term. So with all of the collocates, they occur a little more than 105,000 times. With cause, it occurs 360 times. And then in the parentheses, you'll see up here, it says parentheses left/right. So 238 out of those 360 of cause are occurring to the left of freedom. The rest, the 122, are occurring to the right of freedom. And then we can check back here with our span to see what we're dealing with. So then moving on, this is our mutual information score. All these should be above 3. And we're just organizing here by raw frequency as long as they meet the minimum threshold of 3 for the mutual information score. So then we'll see the percent, which is the frequency that the two words occur together divided by the total frequency of the collocate word. All over here is the total frequency of the word in the corpus, and the docs is the total number of documents that contain both words co-occurring in the given span. So here would be both containing cause and freedom. Now let's do a couple short examples. Maybe you want to compare how the words freedom and liberty were used during the founding era. So let's go up here and hit add compare. On the left side, we'll have freedom. On the right, we'll type in liberty. We can check the options here to just make sure that we're looking at the same thing. Looks like we are. So now we get a snapshot of the difference between freedom and liberty. And then, of course, if we're interested in any of these specific collocates, maybe we want to see how freedom and speech looks, we just click and it will take us into the concordance lines. And maybe we want to compare that for whatever reason with liberty co-occurring with religious. We click there and we're able to look at that. Now let's go back to our collocates list and refine our search a bit. Say we are particularly interested in which nouns follow the phrases freedom of and liberty of. So we'll get rid of those and type in freedom of, liberty of, and then let's modify this so that we're looking only to the right. Maybe we would just want to see directly to the right, but for now, let's just leave it to 4. And then, of course, got to go back to collocates. And we'll see the different collocates that it generates. Of course, you can also do this. Maybe we'll want to see just the nouns. Freedom of noun compared with freedom of noun. And of course, that will change the results a bit too. Okay, so that wraps up our introduction on collocates.